I'm going to share something that I just learned in somebody's Akashic records, which absolutely blew my mind, and I did not know that we were able to do. Just us as a collective. So if you want to maybe unlock something within your records, this will be for you. So before I connected with her on Zoom, I went into her field to see if there was any incarnations that wanted to come forward to support her in this one, and one did. And I met her on a cloud, and I was like, where are we? And she said, we're in Atlas, and it's a planet that's outside of this galaxy, and they had a sky city. I said, oh, are you from here? And she said, no, I astral projected here. She said, this is my kind of second home. And I said, oh, cool. And she handed me a compass to look at, and all of a sudden I went into the compass, and then we were in London in the 1970s. And she took me to her flat and her apartment, and she asked if I would go to her room with her. And when I did, it had all these crystals and plants, very metaphysical-esque, and she asked me to sit with her. And so we were sitting face to face, and she said, hold out your hand, and she put a coin inside of it, and she said, close it and shake it up. And I said, okay. And then I opened it back up, and she said, I want you to look at the coin. What do you see? And I was like, I just see a coin. And she said, no, I want you to look deeper into it. So I closed my eyes, and I heard a dog barking, and then I was in a field, and I saw a farmer, and he was holding this pitchfork, and he was looking out over his farm, and he was just so proud, and he was watching his dog. And then I jumped back into the room with her, and when I am figuring out people's spiritual gifts for them, oftentimes I'm serving as a energy body to figure out what those are. So this version of her, this different incarnation, was saying that she has the ability to pick up objects that hold memories within them. And not people that she knows even. She can do that with people that she knows, but just anything that holds memories within it. And she's able to astral project to places and spaces within time, okay, within history. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And it far extends past that. Okay, so she said that her gift was psychometry. It's clairtangency, and a lot of psychic mediums are able to hold items from persons who have passed on to the other side and look through their memories and tell clients information about them, right? She said that all of these items that have been held create energetic coordinates within the memories, especially if there's a strong emotion with them, and you can actually ride the wave of the memory and then astral project into that person's, history. Okay, so time traveling. And she said it's not just with objects, though. She said that she could go to the library or go to the bookstore and find an autobiography by somebody. It has to be an autobiography, and I'll explain why. But you can find an autobiography. You don't even have to read it. You just hold it in your hands, and then you can astral project to different places that author has been. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. The reason that it would have to be an autobiography is because if somebody else was reading or wrote the book about somebody, then you would be reading the memories of the person that wrote the book. That's not the actual person themselves. So I use Jane Goodall, for example, because she has an autobiography, the woman that worked with the primates. If you got that book and then you meditated with it, she can go to all these different places that Jane had been to. But if she was utilizing a book somebody else wrote about Jane, then technically she would be reading this other person's memories. So it gets even more wild than that. Different incarnations said it doesn't have to be with people from the past, though. You could do that with autobiographies now of people whom are living. This is where I was like, oh, whoa. So I told her that when she is astral projecting, it's with her energy body, right? Like her body is going to stay in whatever room that she is in, but her energy fields will be there. However, her higher self said that she is able to show up to these persons in real time as a human being and speak to them as if she had a physical form. For example, she could go back in time and speak to Albert Einstein and she would be speaking to him in a human form. And I said, isn't that kind of stepping on their free will? And she said, no. She said, because it would just be like if Albert Einstein ran into like a random person in his time and space. He could either speak to them or not. And then she gave me an example of somebody that she really looked up to, Matthias DeStefano, and he's like a spiritual guy. And I said, yeah, technically you could astral travel to go speak with him right now. Like, it would be like if y'all were meeting in a coffee shop and you're like, hey, I know who you are. And if he wanted to speak to you, he could. And if not, that's okay too. Higher self said that she could also go to the future. That we needed to start with current or the past, though, because it's more tangible for our human to experience. And the future is unknown because it's unwritten, but technically it's not, because everything is happening all at one time. But that's what Nikolai Tesla was doing. He was astral projecting in the future and bringing back information to the here and now. And so what was really wild to me was her higher self was saying that that happens now. That there are persons who are not an actual physical form that are astral projecting through time and space and who are speaking to us, and they're not actually in a physical human form. They're actually from somewhere else and they're astral projecting. And I was like, whoa. Okay. And I just thought this was so cool because I haven't seen this before, of being able to hold an object. And she said the reason that objects are easier to start with is because they're dense, like dense matter being compressed, and it's easier to frequency read them. And when you have memories with emotions attached to them, it's a easier process. But I told her eventually she wouldn't have to use those. And what's even cooler than that is I said, okay, this cup is a cup in this incarnation, but it could be alien, let's say a Syrian starseed in a different incarnation. I said, you could hold this cup and yes, read my memories off of it and astral project to places that I have been in this incarnation. But you could go even deeper with your reading, and you could read the memories of the Syrian starseed that this was in a different incarnation, and then you could go to Sirius or wherever else that person has been in their travels, or that cup has been in their travels. And so I was saying, this is so cool, it's so expansive. And the reason I wanted to come on and share it is because if she can do it, other people can too. Like, these are all things that we can learn how to do. Some of us already have inherently these gifts and abilities. Sometimes we don't remember them. That's the session that we were doing together. She was like, hey, I feel like I might have some karmic lessons or some vows, some going on with my soul contract, spiritual gifts, soul mission I'm not able to see. And so I was able to, relay that information, but I was explaining to her at the same time, it's not really you learning how to do it. You already have that template within. You've already been doing this in other incarnations. Like that other one that came forward, like she already knew how to do it. They're one and the same soul. And I said, this incarnation is actually wanting to come forward and mentor you in it so that you can accelerate in this incarnation with the gift. But that also means that, other people are able to do this as well. So hopefully this unlocks something within your Akashic records or with your understandings. And if you would like to learn more about your spiritual gifts and how to utilize them, I do offer Akashic record readings to figure those things out. I also have the Quantum Evolution Academy, where you can learn how to become a new earth healer. And you can find all the information in my bio or in my comments. And I would love to hear if you had any insights come up while I was sharing these things, or if you feel like you have these abilities yourself.